The following program may contain strong language and mature content. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, I'm Dante.
And hey, I'm Dana.
And welcome to the Donta Show.
What's up, Village? It's your boy Kwame, the man with the plan behind the stands. I'm going to go ahead and make this quick because some of y'all got mouths and be talking mess in the comments and saying that the intro commercial is too long. So, I got something for you. Here we go. Let's get into it. Before we bring out these awesome kings, I need you to stop what you're doing. Excuse me? Excuse me? Ma'am? Sir? You? Yeah, you! Whether you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, I need you to go ahead and share this live stream. Dante and Dana didn't get all dressed up for you not to share their melanated goodness. So share. You share everything else up in here. Share some quality content for your boys. Now that we mentioned YouTube, are you subscribed to the Donta Show's YouTube? Oh, you're not? Oh, girl. I'm going to need y'all to get it together. Join the village. Go over to www.youtube.com/Dante Morrison. And when you get a chance, head over to Dr. Morrison's. That's right, your boy got his PhD. Head over to Dr. Dante Morrison's website, www.dantemorrison.com, where you can learn more about the man, the myth, the legend known as Dante. And while you're at it, grab some TDS merch and his books. Yes, purchase those smutty books filled with smut. Grab The End of the Rainbow and Yesterday Clarified. And last but not least, head over to the company that put this all together, Pyro Media Network. Pyro Media Network is a proactive network focused on providing an innovative space for content creators and entrepreneurs. PMN is dedicated to giving its viewers a diverse entertainment experience while helping content creators elevate their production, engagement, and overall branding. To date, PMN has reached over 1 million viewers and listeners internationally, produced over 52 successful shows with high ratings and fanfare, and has housed over 60 content creators, brands, and businesses through entertainment and consulting services exclusive to PMN. Pyro Media Network is a network that makes you feel at home. So if you have an idea for a show, podcast, or need some professional video and audio production for your business or brand, then join the Pyro family today. Go ahead and visit www.pyromedianetwork.com and we will show you how to go to the next level. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please help me welcome my brothers from another mother, the dynamic duo, the melanated kings themselves, Dante and Dana. Let's get it. Let's go!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Donta Show. It is Tuesday night. Is this the first or second Tuesday in February? I don't know. We're in February already. Can you believe it? We're in the second month of 2022, and you are here for another round of conversation with a hot topic, hot dialogue with your boy, Dr. Donta Morrison on the Donta Show. So as you are tuning in and chiming in, please take this time to like, share, and invite your peeps to join this conversation. We're going to talk about, legacy building in the Black community and the role of the Black man in making sure that happens. So I'm going to ask you right now to invite all your brothers, your homies, your homeboys, your dogs, your day ones, your ace bone coons. Invite the block up into the show on tonight, and let's talk about legacy building. This is also going to be a great time for you to pitch your product. Pitch your product. We always talk about Black entrepreneurs and Black businesses don't get the support. Well, if you are a brother and you are an entrepreneur and you are running a Black business and you're on the move, making it happen, I want you to share what you do in the comment section, because tonight is all about brotherly bonding, brotherly building, and just uplifting the brothers. Queens, of course, you are welcome to watch. Queens, we need you. Queens, you are a part of our village, and you are the knee in our back, pushing us forward. So we need our queens. And regardless if the brother is gay, straight, bisexual, it don't matter. Black women are necessary. Black women are vital, and Black women are key to helping us to reach certain goals and accomplishments. So ladies, we need you here too. So invite your husbands, get your boyfriend, invite your sidekick, get them up in the show tonight, and let's talk about legacy building, being a Black man. What is missing? What can Black men be doing to make sure the next generation doesn't have to deal with a lot of the foolishness that the current generation and past generations has been battling as a result of white supremacy and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be a rich conversation. Danisha, I see you over there on YouTube. Yo, speaking of YouTube, Volvo to Love, what it do? Speaking of YouTube, I'm going to ask you right now to subscribe to the Donta Show on YouTube. Make sure to check us out. Go over to www.youtube.com/Donta Morrison. Once again, that's www.youtube.com/Donta Morrison. It will cost you nothing to do so. Don't just look at it, like it. Be a part of the village. Subscribe. I get an alert every single time somebody subscribes to the Donta Show on YouTube. So if you haven't done it, I know it. So please do what you can and make sure to spread the love and let everybody know this is a great show to learn about Black empowerment. And I do it in a way that is inviting, that is friendly, that is loving, that is embracing, and that is welcoming. So talk amongst yourselves. Let me invite some more folks up in here. Let's get this conversation going. Let's make it pop. Let's make it pop, and let's see what we can do. Because a lot of times it's some folks that need to be at the table who ain't at the table. And we got to get them at the table to make sure that we're reaching as many brothers as possible, because so often a lot of our brothers, our Black men, they like, yo, I need an outlet. I need to be in the fold with some folks, but they don't know who to turn to. They don't know who to reach out to. They don't know who they're safe with. If you missed it last night, you missed a phenomenal conversation, because we talked about that. We talked about the importance of really just making sure that we are all building community, that we are all doing what we got to do to make sure that we are okay, that we are just making it happen. We also talked about the importance of Black men practicing self-care, because self-care is often remiss amongst Black men, because Black men have so much stuff to do. We got so many things on our shoulders that we're trying to just make happen, but we got to make sure that we just stop the car, stretch, get out, and do what we can to make sure we are breathing. Because if we are not breathing, and if we're not taking the steps necessary to keep our minds right and keep our spirits uplifted, we're going to find ourselves in a world of trouble. We're going to find ourselves basically just going through a whole lot of unnecessary stuff that we can avoid if we just took some time to woo-saw. So if you have not woo-sawed in a while, I'm going to invite you and encourage you to make sure to get your woo-saw in. If you watch Titan Capri's show, every time Titan starts a show, he does this breathing exercise, because he understands the importance of just taking time to breathe, the importance of just stopping the car, stopping the world, stopping the movement, stopping everything, and just breathing. And it may sound foolish. It may be like, are you serious? I'm going to stop and breathe. I got things to do. But breathing is important. Breathing is something that we should all do. And I'm going to tell you why. I have been on the go literally all day today. I got home about, I would say 15 minutes before the show started. 15 before the show started. And when I walked in, I raced in and Kwame turned on. We did all the stuff behind the scenes. And I was like, you know what, Kwame, I just got home. I ain't got myself together yet. I'm still in the same shirt I wore to work today. Normally when I get on Donta Show, I go out there and I jump my Peloton. Speaking of Peloton, I got a Peloton. I'm trying to get this Pella body, Pella right for this Pella summer that is coming. Who got a Peloton? I know. I turned the corner. If you are out there with a Peloton, give me your Peloton handle or follow me on Peloton, the Donta Show. All right, the Donta Show on Peloton. I'm trying to get my rides in, trying to get my workouts in, trying to get all that stuff in. But I got my Peloton. My Peloton is helping me get my life back. I am learning that it is important to exercise. I'm a military. I was in the military, exercise all the time. Body was right back in my 20s, but Ward and 40s hit, and he started slumping. He started dropping. Period, point blank. What's up, cuzzo? Period, point blank. But I got this Peloton, and this may be a Peloton commercial right now, but this Peloton it rocks. This Peloton is everything. Everything I need is in this Peloton. Yoga, meditation, cycling, full body workout, core workout, boxing, all. If you got a Peloton, let me know your handle so we can follow each other. All right, boom, that part's over. So back to tonight's conversation. We're going to talk about Black men. So Kwame had this topic, and I think it's important to unpack and it's important to dissect. So the question that he basically shared was, do Black boys need rites of passage programs? Are we missing rites of passage programs? Brian, you got one? Follow me on Peloton, the Donta Show. So rites of passage programs. I don't know how many brothers out there actually went through a rites of passage as they were growing up, but basically it's this core curriculum of things that young men go through to help them, evolve into manhood, to help them just get on the right track and get on the pathway towards greatness. Now, rites of passage programs have kind of disappeared over time, and I don't want to say they've evolved into something else, but I don't see them the way I used to see them. And do you think that is necessary nowadays? It is still necessary, because who is pouring into our youth? I did a presentation earlier today. I'm talking about Black history, and my presentation really dissected the importance of having inclusive and comprehensive Black history teaching within the public school system. Because I don't know about y'all, as I went through school, primary and secondary school, I did not get comprehensive Black history knowledge. I was not made aware of a lot of stuff that happened to Black people. A lot of it was watered down. A lot of it was softened to not make it seem so oppressive. When I was taught about the Middle Passage growing up, I wasn't taught about what we saw in Amistad. Thank you, Debbie Allen and Steven Spielberg. I wasn't taught about that. I was taught like the Middle Passage was a nice boat ride to the new land where we had enslaved Africans, and albeit they were slaved and they may have gotten whipped every now and then for doing things wrong, it was not this hard life. The pictures were not brutal. I didn't hear about the murders. I didn't hear about the deaths that happened on the Middle Passage. Think of how many Africans died en route to America. That transatlantic slave trade took so many African lives, but we don't hear about that. We don't hear about that. But then I got into a part of my presentation when I talked about spankings. If you grew up in a Black household, spankings were normal. For many of us, to go out to the back and get that switch off the tree because you were disobedient, you didn't obey, you didn't take heed to the words of me. So go get a switch, pick a good one so I can whip you good. And we think about that kind of child rearing and that kind of upbringing. Like I said, for a lot of us, that was normal. We look at it now, we chuckle. Grandma had to go get a switch and yada, yada, yada. We'll laugh about it. But what did that derive from? What did that behavior derive from? And do we want to admit that was learned on the plantation? That was learned at the hands of a white master? That was learned at the hand of a blonde-haired, blue-eyed individual that beat us into submission? So therefore, it ingrained in us the idea that unless you are beating someone or something, it is not going to mind or it's not going to get better. So am I preaching to the choir? Huh? Talk to me, y'all. So when you think about where whoopings come from and spankings come from and all those kind of things that have transcended generations and have become normalized in the Black family and made us think that this is what we need to do to children to make them obey or to make them understand, it goes back to historical teachings. We don't get that in school. Also, what kids don't get, they don't hear about all the stuff that we poured into this country to make it great. All the Black inventors, all the Black firsts, all the things that are here because we had Blacks that carried the weight of everything on their backs. Little white children are not raised up to understand the totality of the Black influence. They're not raised to really grasp a hold of what Blacks did and why African slaves were so crucial to making America successful. They don't know that. So when they become older whites, we do have older white people. When they become older whites, they operate from this elitist mentality that I don't care what happens, I'm still white with my privilege. And regardless if you are more successful than me or not, I'm still better than you because I'm white. So think about it. To a lot of white people, we ain't nothing but rich slaves with money. That's it. Because a lot of white folks still have it ingrained in their psyche, that they are above us or better than us. That is what is engraved because there is a lack of true and honest and transparent historical teaching about America, inclusive of Black history, to show that we are not inferior to you. It is a reason that white people went to Africa to get African slaves because they saw a greatness in us that would help them build this new nation in a way that they could not do. They like, oh, they're smart. They're this, they're strong, we need them. So they brought us over here to do what they could not do. However, how it is taught, they are still taught like they did us a favor by bringing us to this new world. And a lot of Black kids, unfortunately, believe that Black history starts in America, which it does not. We were Black long before we stepped foot on North America. Let's be clear. Be clear. All right, so here we go. Joe said, meaning the lowest of them is still better than the best of us. Right. Exactly. Slaves with money. They think we are nothing but slaves with money when you think about it like that. And I always, tell people, yes, Oprah is a billionaire. What's up, Kevin? Tyler Perry is a billionaire. I'm not taking from the success of not one Black person, but you best your bottom dollar believe there are white people out there that see them as nothing but slaves with money. Period. So I said all that to say, when it comes to leaving legacy and building up young Black men, what are we doing? And are we doing it effectively? Are the elders really pouring into the youth in a way that is going to make them better and stronger than we are currently? Because each generation of Blacks should be getting better and stronger, right? Do we see that happening? This is where you chime in, Village. Let me see what Brian said, But there are whippings on the pyramid walls. Yes, there are whippings on the pyramid walls. It's all about power and control. Power and control, beating into submission. When we watch old biblical films, you see the Egyptians beating the Israelites, beating them into submission, because that was their idea of how to show power and control. So when we are beating children, we're showing power and control. You're an adult. You're already in a position of power. You're an adult over a child that cannot defend himself against you, who the child knows already has the power. So why are you beating them? You can't use your power and your words to influence this child to do better. You got to beat them into submission. That's just my question. That's just my question. All of it goes back to slavery. It's all about slavery. And I love having these deep conversations with the Village because so many of y'all can handle it. Y'all don't run from it. Y'all understand the importance of it. We have to have this dialogue so that we can stop reinventing the wheel and do something better and greater. So, rites of passage programs for young men, are they necessary? How are we leaving a legacy and how are we leaving a new way of life for our next generation of Black men? What are we doing currently? And what should we stop doing that would help them get better? What should we stop doing? So chime in, y'all. Chime in and let me get a sip of water. All right, because when I don't have Dana here, I got to do all the talking. Brian said it's very important. Very important. I agree. It sets a template and it sets a standard of understanding. And it puts things in motion for them to begin to understand who they are as individuals, understand the expectations that we have of them, understand what we have been through, what we've overcome, and what we have survived. Is it fair to say that, I don't want to say the current generation, because I love the current generation. I think they got balls. Is it fair to say that a lot of things that we have done and overcome has been lost in transition and lost in translation because of how easy it is nowadays to obtain success? Is that fair? Is that fair to say? Eric, you can still co-host. You can jump on the show now via video. I mean, it's nothing. Put your money where your mouth is, my man. So Brian says, I know certain communities that has bar mitzvahs, and we have nothing. We have nothing. Traditionally, certain people have bar mitzvahs. They can make that happen, but we have nothing. Unfortunately, we don't have anything that's going to make us greater and make us stronger. Hold on one second, y'all. Hold on. Boom. All right, so yeah, and true. So when you think of it that way, Brian, I love what you just said. You might get an invite, Brian. Watch your inbox. I love when you said that. When we think about the generational traditions, and when you think about how we do stuff and how things are passed down, what are we passing down to the next generation? What are we really passing down to make them better and to make them stronger? What baton are we handing them? What baton are we handing them? And not the baton of debt, because every time I see somebody selling a fish dinner or having a barbecue to bury a loved one, I'm like, oh my God, that means they passed down debt. That's debt. What are we passing down to the next generation to make them stronger individuals in this country that does not see them as whole persons? What are we doing? Think about it. 2 weeks ago, Mitch McConnell said, Black people vote just as much as Americans. Black people vote just as much as Americans. Mitch McConnell, I mean, we already know Mitch McConnell, but to say something as asinine as that, Black people vote just as much as Americans. So you don't see us as Americans. Brian, check your messenger. So you don't see us as Americans? Yes, Davin, when I saw that, I was like, bruh, are you kidding me? We're in 2022. Black people vote just as much as Americans. Was he, well, how do we get it? Was he canceled? Of course not. You want to know why? Because he was not the only one that thinks that way. He is not the only one that thinks that way. And it's so funny when we hear about things that white people say about Black people and we just clutch our pearls and I can't believe he said that. Why? And Kyrie Sinaj, close friend of mine, always says, why are we shocked when they show us who they are? Why are we shocked? Why do we get like, oh my goodness, are you serious? I can't believe they said that. Do y'all really think that white America as a whole respects Black America or Black people? We cannot be that ignorant. We cannot sit here and assume that only a small handful of white people still see us as less than. No, of course not. Let me see. Eric said most fathers aren't in the homes to host the formal rites of passages of our ancestors. I agree. I think that something happened when it came to the sanctity of marriage. Something shifted within Black families, and we started to see, and I read an article about it, I actually read a book about it, talking about the shift came, I think, around about the 60s, early 70s, when fathers stopped being in the home, when Black men just started leaving, and we had all these single parent households. I'm not sure if it was rooted in the stresses associated with being a black man in America and all that entailed. I'm not sure what caused it or what created it or what fueled it, but we are seeing a lot of women being single parents. That does not mean that there are not good fathers out there. I know a lot of solid fathers. I think most of my friends who have kids, they are solid dads. I don't really know a lot of deadbeat dads. They do exist, but so do deadbeat moms. It's called a thing. I know a lot of fathers that are raising their children in the absence of a mother who cannot handle the responsibility or said, this is too much for me, I'm about to be on my way. I know that happens. But Eric, I hear what you said. Pam, did he get suspended? Of course not. Of course he didn't get suspended. Suspended? For saying that black people vote like are you suspended? Of course not. They're not going to suspend their own. What did Titan say? Titan said, and Titan, you missed it. I did the woo-saw earlier, Titan. I did the woo-saw. I told the brothers to breathe. Titan said, you know what I forgot for a minute who we're talking about. Makes sense. Good old boy mentality. Boom. Bingo. Bada bing. Bada boom. Good old boy mentality. Are you kidding me? Exactly. Good old boy mentality. How do we break? I'm sorry, Pam. I'm sorry. How do we break that mentality? How do we prepare our young men to enter into adulthood in an American system that does not have their best interests at heart? How do we do that? How do we create a village of young black men that will be accountable for one another outside of the gang life, outside of the street life, and all that? And they're like, yo, I'm going to help you ascend, and you're going to help me ascend. I'm going to prepare you, and you're going to prepare me. How do we do that? How do we do that? All right. So let's take a quick commercial break. And when I come back, we're going to unpack that even further. Here we go. What's up, y'all? I had to pop this neck real quick one good time. So we are back for part two, the second half of this conversation about the black community, black men, and how do we push our future leaders and how we pass down legacy. Hit some comments real quick and then invite on a special guest. So Titan Capri said, we got to stop sugarcoating things and be real that this world we live in is not always geared for us. All right. How many of you honestly have accepted the fact that this world we live in is not geared for us, and stop sugarcoating it. And he also says, I have met so many parents and villagers who think that kids do not need to know the real deal. All right, the real deal. Should kids have a sugar-coated understanding of Black history? Is that helping them or is that hindering them? I talked about that in my presentation today, because if you look at it, I think 79% of teachers in America are white. 79%. All right. 52% of students are minorities. 48% of students are white. So that means you have white people teaching your kids about Black history. Of course, you have some teachers that are like really about it and want the kids to know, but you have some that are funneling out what they feel is important, what they feel the kids should know, what they feel the kid can handle, what they feel is relevant. So if your child is not being taught by a Black person that really understands the importance of providing Black history education to these students, your kid is getting a disservice in their school system. They're learning about his story. Okay, his story. So why are we sugarcoating it and why are we watering it down? However, with that being said, when does the village step in and say, I'm about to do what I got to do to make sure that our young kings and queens are being educated about the real history of Black people in this country, what we endured, what we went through, the real understanding of white supremacy in America. Learn about CRT. Thank you, Titan. Critical race theory. That is so important. When are we going to do that? So help me unpack this. Welcome to the show again, my boy, Brian Reveals. What's up, fam?
What's up?
How you doing, man?
I had to come up.
This is right up your alley.
I'm a little, as you can see, this is way past my bedtime, brother. But you know, I had to go put a t-shirt on and not, give you your audience, give the village, a little bit of my taco meat.
I add a little fire to the show. Brian, so we're talking about legacy building, and you brought up a good point talking about, bar mitzvahs. Basically, that's generational. That is a timeless tradition that is ongoing, regardless of how the situation looks in society. Regardless if these kids are like, well, I don't want to do it, mom or dad, yada, 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 they're still going to do it. So what's missing in our community?
Oh, a lot. And I appreciate you starting and kicking this conversation off with the brothers, right? And I know everybody has a part to play, but as a mentor, as a person who's really out here in these streets doing all kinds of mentorship and activism, the one thing that I see that's missing are Black men from a mentorship space. And it's a disappointment because we have so many talents. We have a huge spectrum of intellectual capital, and for the next generation of young Black boys to not really have access to that is a disappointment. So yes, and I was actually looking at numbers from blackdemographics.org or .com or something like that, but brothers are actually getting back into the homes, and I know there was a large conversation around that before, that Black men are not at home, it's always a single mom. That's not the case anymore. More brothers are actually raising their kids. And when you also look at, juxtaposing Black men to other groups, like we're the most consistently involved, and we are the ones who are more emotionally in touch with our kids. So the disparity in the community is where I really think that there's a need, and we have to fill that void.
I like what Eric just commented and said, and he said that the dialogue has to be had respectfully between the older and the younger generations. We, the older generations, don't listen to the younger generation with patience and respect, which contributes to the breakdown in communication and relationships between us and them. I get what he's saying. I know a lot of older cats that go into these conversations and they don't want to hear nothing that the young person has to say. It's this real know-it-all type mentality, but we're in a different dispensation in time. So the things that they deal with and what they have to navigate although there are some similarities, the approach is different. And then he says, we have to respect their opinions, give them some wise information direction. Same should happen in reverse. Of course, in my honest opinion and experience with daily interaction with the youth. Right. And Eric is the dad and really invested in his kid's life. I know him personally. He's like my brother. So I know him on a personal level. I know what he does to contribute to this legacy building concept. But do you think that intergenerational conversations from a healthy perspective can occur right now? Is the younger generation ready to sit and pour out? Do they trust us? Me, I'm 50. Do they have that trust? And then do we respect them enough to say, yo, let me hear what you're going through and how you plan on figuring it out?
Yep, it's happening in the barbershops, right? I just think that it's done on such a whimsical level. But when the conversation shifts to something that's a lot more rooted in, okay, what has to happen next? Like, what is there a solution? Is there a possible outcome? I think that that's where the ball drops, because when accountability has to be a part of the conversation, then all of a sudden we get amnesia. We don't know what the next step is, right? We don't know how to navigate that. So I think with what young people are actually looking for, I don't know if they're looking for direction. I think they're looking for partnership. And I think after a certain period of time, I can't tell a 25-year-old or react to a 25-year-old as if that kid, so to speak, is my son or someone that I am trying to son. You know, there has to be a little bit of a respect of that experience. And I do think that, you know, if we, and you know, I know you're a little bit ahead of me, Dante, just a little bit, but I will say this, you know, if we wouldn't try to act as if we are 25, if we're not in the same clubs as these 25-year-olds, how do you expect for us, to be seen as some sort of an elder when they see you as a peer? So we got to take some responsibility and grow up. We really do.
You dropped a lot of nuggets just in that spiel. One, I love how you brought up accountability. You know, that there has to be a level of ownership to some of the stuff. I like how you talked about be a partner in this. You know, just walk alongside of me. You know, just walk with me through as I learn this and give me some tips along the way. You know, and then I like how you said basically establish some boundaries. There needs to be some boundaries. We need to be seen different. You know, if I'm walking around, you know, with silver shoes and I'm sagging and I'm trying to give you guidance and we look just alike, it's like, well, I don't see that. You know, that was great. That was great. There has to be a distinction between the two. And although we can be homies and have relatable conversation, I still should be in a different category than you. And I think that one thing I've noticed is that we have a lot of knockoff Ayanlas. I can't think of a male counterpart. Knockoff Dr. Phils that try to be these fix-it-all gurus and whatnot when their stuff is just as messed up because they didn't get proper mentorship and guidance. You know, so that you said that, man. You said that. You said that. What else you want to drop? Go ahead. This is your show.
No, brother. For me, I just respect a conversation where it's not a name, pointing the blame at somebody else. You know what I mean? I respect conversations like this where it's what am I doing? Because when you look, regardless of what I tell you, regardless of what this is what I've done, and it's all wordplay, you're still going to watch what I do. You're still going to make sure that whatever it is that I'm doing, those words are lining up with action. And when they don't see that, it's really about being a demonstration. Actually, right. They say actions speak louder than words. For me, it's not even about the words. It's about the demonstration. And I do think that, we just got to be able to move differently and move that is unique to us and our experience. Because I don't know about you. I've never been to Africa. I would love to go. I'm sure it's beautiful, right? but I don't have a connection to that continent. I was born here, and my lineage is here. You know, I trace my roots back, and you know, we owned land back in the 1800s. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't really have that connection. So for me, it's relying on my ancestors and my uncles and great uncles and great grandfathers and really adapting some of those things where those men actually made it work. You know, I don't know about you, Dante, but you know, my roots are like deep in the South. And if you go back to some of those homes, or if you look at some older pictures, you had 10 people in a 700-800 square foot home. The guy had to step up and be the leader in those very limited times with very limited resources and very limited space. So if those people could do it, if those families could do it, what we're complaining about is actually very, very minimal. All we have to do is show up at the end of the day.
And I like how you're talking about that. It's funny because the other day I posted pictures, you know, historical archive pictures of Black families, black and white pictures from back in the day, thinking it would generate a conversation, you know, because I always pay homage to our ancestors, the ones that I know, the ones that I don't know, because anyone who walked this American soil, you know, to get me to where I am today, I got to respect their struggle, because nothing that I'm going through right now compares to what they had to endure back then. And it hurts me sometimes when I feel like Black people don't give enough respect to those who paved the way, you know, and it just gets lost somewhere. And it's like, why do we not constantly talk about, you know, those who overcame, those who persevered, those who pushed through, those with scars on their backs still found a way to learn how to read and write and educate? And why do those stories get lost? And it pains me, because I feel that some parents, as we've evolved, don't think that stuff is necessary, because I don't want my kid to have that in their mindset. My kid wasn't no damn slave. Okay, you know, so I don't know if that bugs you, but I like how you said, I don't have the attachment to Africa. Yes, I know I derived from there at some point, but if I go and step foot on African soil right now, I'm a tourist, you know, trying to figure this out. But if an African comes here, I can show you all over LA, because this is where I'm from, you know. But when we say stuff like that, we sound like uppity Negroes. We sound disconnected. We sound sleep, you know, because, you know, woke is the new thing. We don't sound woke. And brother, what's wrong with you giving into this white man's understanding? You know, so just chime in on that, because I appreciate how you said that. Like, this is where I'm from.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, my first thing is, anytime someone tries to, you know, and I'm very open to criticism, contrary to popular belief, but I do like to read. I do like to read. The first thing that I do is consider the source. Consider the source, because I do think that a lot of people, like you said, the whole woke bandwagon and, you know, some of these Hotep characters that try to tell you about how to Black. And my thing is just like, okay, well, how can we not be a monolithic community, but you are attacking me for the very thing that you're saying that we are not? That is the definition of hypocrisy. So at that point, I disengage. Brother, have a great day. Sister, have a great day. Sayonara, right? And so at that particular point, I got to stand on what my experience is and honor that, not what someone's criticism of me is. So, and the thing about it is, let's say, for example, if I do go to Africa, or when I go to Africa, if I go to South, you know, regardless of where it is in the continent, number one, because I don't have an attachment to that place, I don't have a lineage. I've never spoken about, you know, no one has ever spoken to me about it. Out of 50 plus countries, where do you recommend I start? Nobody has an answer for you on that. And so at that particular point, I think, you know, what I do is start to qualify, you know, some of the questionable, oh, you're not Black enough kind of narrative. And there's different conversations around whether, you know, people were born here whether they came here from the Caribbean or whatever,
right?
Slave trade let them here as, right? Whatever that experience is, all you have to do is go on today, because I think it's great to know your history. I think it's great to know and have a connection to that. But if you're not using that to expand this right here, none of it matters. And that's what I try to focus on.
So growing up, because we're talking about rites of passage and all that, growing up, were you privy to the knowledge you have now, or did you have to unlearn a lot of behaviors and seek this wisdom out on your own?
Oh, I was a nerd. My mother used to backhand me, like, if you ask me one more question, Oh, I'm kidding. Speaking of rites of passage, right?
Right.
My mother, like, God bless her heart. She was very, one thing that and I thanked her for this a few years ago, because she would tell me, go look it up. So she would she would definitely take me to the library and give me all kinds of books and everything like that. So everything that I had to unlearn was while I was learning, because I was one of those kids where I was like, at 7, religion and Christianity, and growing up in an all-Black church under the whole God premise. I'm like, well, if this is God, why are there only Black people in this church? Or why is this church only built off of African Methodist Episcopal doctrine and dynamics and all of those things? I knew this at 7. So even though in our community, we also have this, children are supposed to be seen and not heard.
Right.
You
have no voice. You have no opinion.
Exactly. Yeah. Some of these other different traditional ways of shunning you.
Yeah.
I never bought into that, because I looked around and I noticed my environment just was not capable. Unfortunately, everyone is not as steadfast and trusting that inner voice. I just stuck to mine. And of course, when I was able to grow and get broader resources, you travel the world, you learn, you go to museums and talk to people, and you go get drunk at the resort, but when you're finished,
right.
You learn. You sit down to with the elders and the people in some of these random remote villages around the world, and you really kind of learn that indigenous mindset, and you research it further.
And I think it's important how you talked about just kudos to your mom. Go look it up. That should be a T-shirt. Period. Stop asking me. Go look it up. Yeah. Because once you start, and I was a nerd too, and so was Joseph Wallace, talked about that. And once you start that go look it up process, you end up in a wormhole of just research. Then you start wanting more and more and more. And I think what I'm noticing now is that we're not encouraging our children to investigate, to get their own truth for themselves and to get their own understanding for themselves. And a lot of it has to do with just the access to social media, because there's so many different opinions and whatnot. They kind of become bandwagon followers, and it's like, but is that what you really believe? Well, no, that's kind of, that's the end thing, but does it make sense to you? And my cousin Lestar just pointed out, we had the Brown Encyclopedia set growing up. Just Brown Encyclopedia. And if you got that World Book or that Britannica set in your house, you sitting there reading them books all day, trying to figure it out for yourself, because you wanted to just learn. And I looked at what Eric, let me see, go back up. Eric Daniels, I like his comment. Basically, he said, be the example you want them to respect and to be better than, and that he strives to be the benchmark for the youth that he comes in contact with constantly. And it's all about setting that standard and setting that tone, And Brian, because I know you live in such assurance of who you are, and it's such an unwavering stance, because you've done the work to be able to stand in your own truth. And whomever may come, like the Bible says, every wind and doctrine, whoever may come, you are still rooted in your belief. And that's why I admire you so much. But I'm seeing so many weak-rooted trees out there nowadays. It's like, well, yesterday you were standing in this. Now this week, you're standing in who are you? And I think that's a question that when I ask a lot of brothers, hey, bro, who are you? You know, who are you and why are you this way? So many cannot give a reasonable answer because they don't know. Black men do not have the spaces to just come together and just learn who we are as men and glean off of each other. You know, and I see my brother Cedric Nelms on here. You know, I love Cedric because Cedric is all about, you know, yo, be who you are. If you are 100% with you, you can walk into any space and shake the room. But if you don't know who you are, when you walk into these different spaces, every new room you enter, you're going to adapt to that room. And once you're through room hopping, you don't know who you are because you've taken on all these different coats and cloaks and hats and whatnot. So you got to find out who you are. So brothers, it is so important that if we're going to leave legacies to this next generation, we got to first know who we are as men. You know, and that's a question that I have asked Black men for the last 15 years when I do workshops. I will start out, brothers, tell me, what is a man? And the answers are all over the place, but it always ends up below the belt. Well, if you smashing them, you a man. Oh, okay. You know, so Brian, have you ever sat and unpacked and dissected and found in yourself what is being a man to you, where you can like clearly say, well, this is a man?
Every day.
Expound upon that. I love it.
Oh yeah, it's ongoing. You never stop discovering what you are, not who you are, but what you are. Because I think that when I say what you are, the concept of self is always evolving. You know, let's go back 20 years ago where that below the belt thing probably would have been sufficient and everyone would have moved forward. Well, now we live in a climate and a culture where the female energy, the feminine energy is much more ingratiated into the male conversation, the male psyche, particularly in our community, whereas before it was never a part of the conversation, right? At least in our time. So to navigate and juxtapose a lot of what those concepts are, I have to reimagine, right? Because there's a such thing that, you know, a new term that has surfaced called emotional intelligence, where some of the things that I may have expressed about myself and about how I relate to other men and women, that has to be a part of the forefront as well, because I can say, shut up. And my tonality has a lot to do with how we are engaging. You know what I'm saying? And the different tones and textures that come with that.
Right.
So, me being mindful of, I don't know, the way that I carry myself and the way that I navigate myself, someone may not necessarily feel comfortable. So, you know, a lot of those things I'm always having to discover. The other thing is that through therapy, and I know this is your lane, through therapy, I was able to get the tools to help me figure out what those concepts are from a psychological perspective.
Love it.
So I do think that it is good to go through these things and as you sit through yourself and meditate on them. But if you're going to adhere to your psychological needs and the definition of what those things are, it is responsible to have a professional help you with them. And if you don't have the resources, there are so many free organizations out there that will help you navigate through those conversations.
Agreed, 100%. 100%. I loved how you said, you brought in emotional intelligence. I mean, that's a whole nother show and conversation, but that it's a daily evolve. It's daily, you know, and you're taking the time to make sure that you're doing the work, you know, and you know, Cedric Nelms chimed in. It's a beautiful thing when you fall in love with yourself. And after the show we did yesterday, just talking about self-care for Black men and what are Black men doing to ensure that they're doing the best for their own self-health. So many don't do that. You know, so many are not taking the time to just center themselves and focus on themselves. You know, and then you talked about just basically just deconstructing what the concept of manhood is to you, or what we've been taught about what manhood is, and building up your own truth. That takes discipline. It takes honesty, and it takes time. And it's a work in progress. And I applaud you for being honest about that, because so many brothers do not want to admit that they don't know, that they don't have the answer. They don't want to admit that I still don't really fully grasp what a man is, but I'm going to work every single day, and I'm banging her out when I get home. That makes you a man, bro? Yeah, that's it. Okay, well, if that's what your truth is right now, but let me step in and help you elevate that. Not saying you wrong, but let's elevate it, and let's open your consciousness to another way to look at what manhood, masculinity, what all that is, because you may see there's pieces of you that you've not tapped into that can make you a much better individual and a much better father, husband, partner, friend, all that stuff, those layers that we as men are oftentimes told to suppress so we can be perceived by society as a strong man. So I mean, Brian, you speaking true, bro. You dropping gems. You're dropping gems, and I pray some of the brothers watching are really taking notes and just saying, "Yo, this is an on point conversation," because it starts with us. We don't have knitting circles. Like you said, we got the barbershop, and we do our best in the barbershop. But once that stuff gets too thick and too emotional, turn the channel to the game. Go get some Henny out the trunk. Let's blaze up. Let's do something. Once we get teeter to the point of cracking that egg open, we kind of back up and like, yeah, this is getting too much, dog. Let me get on home, because I don't want to question my manhood by being emotional.
Exactly. Can I share something with you? And like, I'll make it 45 seconds.
Okay.
So I think about 4 years ago, I was in a barbershop, and one of my buddies invited me to come, out, he was going to cut my hair or whatever. And so everybody's sitting there. There were a couple of kids that were sitting off, waiting to get their haircuts next. And one of the barbers was talking to this kid who wanted to play football. Mm-hmm. I could look at him and tell he wasn't interested. I could also look at him and tell that his father just wasn't present. Right. You mentor long enough, you see stuff. Right. And so I had a conversation with him, and I was like, well, I don't think you want to play football. He was like, well, how do you know? I was like, because I can see it in you. He was like, yes, I do. I said, let me ask you a question. I said, you only want to play football because of the money. He was like, that's not true. I said, okay, if you could play football for $1 an hour, would you do it? And he paused. I said, right there, that's no. Because if you want to do something, you do it for free. And I said, let me ask you a question. I said, do you know your father? He said, no, I don't. I said, do you know what a mentor is? This happened in the barbershop, right? Mm-hmm. Didn't know this kid from anybody. And he said, yes, I do know what a mentor is. I said, well, did your mom drop you off and everything like that? He said, yeah. I said, I want to be your mentor. Would you allow me to be your mentor? And he said, yes, I would. Every dude in there broke down. Man, I wish I would have had somebody. So wow. there is an opportunity to shift that energy if it is not accountable, which is a lot of the words we like to throw around, accountable and sufficient and being active, intentional. Those words are great. If you're not putting yourself in position to do something about it, the conversation is meaningless. I saw an opportunity to get involved. I did. And as a result, not only did the energy in that room shift, all those brothers became 2 years old all over again. So it is possible.
Yeah. I love that, man. That was a great summation to tonight's show. If you see the opportunity, step in. Step in. Brothers, if you are in position to mentor a young man, step up. Because the only way we're going to get out of this hamster wheel is for those of us that have the ability. We've done the work. We have the mental fortitude to help another brother or another man, just to help your brother, out of these dark spaces of confusion and longing and whatnot. I'm going to close it out with Eric Daniels' comment. Our community has made it difficult for Black men to love themselves, let alone love their Black brethren. We lost the camaraderie of the days of old. And I'm gonna tell you, last week, I think it was last week, I went to the barbershop and Eric's a barber. I went to the barbershop and Eric was there. And every time me and Eric see each other, we clown each other. But Eric grabbed me and hugged me and he kissed me right here on the top of my temple. Now, Eric is hetero beyond hetero, but the level of love that he has for me, being gay, openly gay, which will question a lot of people like, Dante trying to pull Eric. And no, we're both black men trying to navigate this world as black men. Right. And when Eric did that, you could see folks looking like, and I was like, this is my boy. But that's Eric. If you are secure in who you are, you can show affection to your brother without a second beat, because we all need that hug. We all need that love. We all need to know my brother got my back. We all need to know that in good times and bad times, it's some brothers out there that I can lean on and keep it 100. If I drop tears, I drop tears. They gonna hug me. They gonna cover me. Laying on their hands, they got me. And I think that black men, we need to step outside of whatever we have been taught and realize all of us are traumatized by what we have seen and some of the experiences, generational trauma, post-slave stress disorder. We got all this trauma, and that simple touch, that simple embrace by a brother that gets it will break you all the way down. All the way down. If you really get that true embrace from a brother that's like, yo, I get it. I'm in this fight with you. I understand. Don't let me go until you got your release. It's going to change your life. It'll change your life. We gotta change this narrative, because all this hardness is not doing nothing for the next generation. These young boys got to deal with racism at school. They got to deal with black police possibly shooting them. They got to deal with all kind of stuff. They at least should be able to come home and be around black men that will allow them to be tender for a moment, to be kids for a moment. So that's what I got to say. Brian, give me some closing comments. Sorry, Kwame, we 2 minutes over. Brian, give us 30 seconds of closing comments. Whatever you got, jump on your pages or whatever. Go ahead, man.
30 seconds of closing comments. First of all, thank you for having me on tonight. Like I said, it was so unplanned, but anything that I could do to come on and not just expand the conversation, but to have a couple minutes with my homie, I appreciate it. Everybody, love harder. And if you don't know how to love harder, start with yourself and go just let it expand. Thank you, Donta.
Yo, I'm going to close with that. Love harder, y'all. Love harder. If you've not subscribed to the Donta Show, check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Donta Morrison, youtube.com/Donta Morrison. Share this video. Share this discussion with your brothers. Share this discussion with dudes that need to see black men coming together in having positive dialogue, positive conversation about how to better our communities. Share this video with your son. Share this video with the dude out there that's like, I need to know what to do next, because you never know how this could change their life. Everyone have a blessed night. Village, I love y'all. Y'all know I do. You've been right on me and Dana since the jump off, and I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. Donta_Morrison on Instagram. Donta Show on TikTok. Listen, I'm out there. I'm trying to make it happen. But tonight's show was empowering. It gave me what I needed. Brian, thank you for staying up late, jumping on the show, and dropping some knowledge and some wisdom. Black men, we in this together. Group hug, big hug. I love my brothers. I love black men, period, point blank. Till next week, stay safe. Do what you got to do to protect yourself from this COVID virus and all kind of stuff. And I will see y'all next week for another 2 days of phenomenal conversation on the Donta Show. Take care. Good night. God bless.